Hi, this is the Business Guy. So how do you move from middle class to upper class? There are 4 things you need to do, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you my first house, a little junker on a busy road and struggling to put food on the table. And then I'm going to show you where I live now. According to Zillow, a $3.5 to $4 million home on the saltwater with yachts in the backyard, run a multi-million-dollar business because I love it. And now I never have to work another day for the rest of my life. So I've seen both sides, and I want you to watch this whole video and write down the 4 things. It'll change your life. So when someone in the family has a question about finances, buying a car, a house, investing, etc., I seem to be the one they ask. So I had a family member ask me, I want a new car. Should I buy it outright or finance? I mean, I really want a new car right now. So I told her after 31 years of running a business, there are different economic classes of people regardless of race. There are a few socioeconomic rungs on the ladder, and these groups do different stupid things. And I want you to do the smart thing, and please help me out by clicking the like button below so YouTube promotes this video. Thanks so much. And if you're new here, don't be a stranger. Join us by clicking the subscribe button below so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. Okay, so what is lower class? That's 29% of people in America, according to Pew Research. Lower class in the United States is somebody with a median net worth of $4,900, and that usually consists of a car, some furniture, a little money in the bank, or many people don't even have bank accounts. Median income, $29,963. Most poor people live in the rough end of town. They play the lottery more than anybody else. You can check. Poor people buy the most lottery tickets. I've heard the lottery described as a tax on people who aren't good at math because the odds of winning are astronomically against you. But most lottery tickets are sold in zip codes where poor people live. Then there are the payday lenders that rape people financially with their 400% annual interest rate, and that's just average. And then there's the rent-to-own furniture shops. Then there are pawn shops. I used to own 3 pawn shops. I had 3 pawn licenses. I saw people pay over time in payments 4 times what the item was worth. Yes, 4 times what the item was worth when you add up all those payments. And I've been there. This was my first house. Little cracker box on a busy street. I paid $62,500 for it. And there's the side of the house. In fact, that part of the fence I built 34 years ago. And this is where I live now, on the saltwater in Florida, in a neighborhood where houses on the water. I just checked houses for sale on the water right now, average $3.68 million. You don't see the types of businesses we just talked about around here. They generally don't exist on the rich side of town. You know why? Because rich people don't use them. Following rich people principles is how they got rich. Okay, now let's move up to middle class. 50% of people in the US. The median net worth of someone in the middle class is $90,131. Most of this consists of home equity, maybe some equity in a car, and some savings. Now, it varies by state and household size, but a middle class house typically earns in the range of $47,000 to $141,000 a year. So what are the behaviors of people in the middle class that keeps them in the middle class? First, the middle class struggles with credit card debt. Second, the middle class struggles with student loan debt. Third, middle class people struggle with car payments. And 4, many of them buy whole life insurance, the biggest ripoff in America. Not according to the insurance salesperson, but it's a ripoff if you dig in according to the math. And they give their money away, and they give it away to companies with tall buildings, which ensures they're never going to be anything but middle class because they're in debt to credit card companies and car companies and whole life policies. Okay, now let's look at the upper class. The rich people. 21% of people in the US are in the upper class. Median net worth, $479,700. Median income, $219,572. You go, okay, what do they do? If you want to be rich, you need to mimic what rich people do. Because 90% of millionaires in America started broke like I did. They didn't inherit their money. I didn't inherit a penny. They're not crooks. They're not professional athletes and actors and actresses. They're just regular people who did things differently than broke people. So when I talk to other millionaires, I ask how many brand new cars they bought before they were millionaires. Most told me 1 or 2, and that it was a foolish mistake, and how much of a mistake it is to get into debt to buy a car or anything else but a house. When I talk to my fellow millionaires, most of them tell me they never borrow money. I don't remember any of them telling me they became wealthy by borrowing money. They say every time I borrowed money, it held me back from building wealth. That's what rich people say. So first, they don't borrow money. Not every one of them, but that's a common trait among most of the upper class. By the way, do you know what one of the top 5 careers for millionaires is in America? Teachers, and they usually make very little. But the ones that achieve millionaire status adopt millionaire habits. Now, here's a big one. Second, the rich save money. Save at least 15% of your income in a growth stock mutual fund. and let it sit. Don't take it in and out and kill yourself with taxes. Let it sit there. The compound interest is what makes you rich, and we'll discuss that in a bit. Third, they live below their means. In other words, they don't spend all they make. In order to achieve millionaire status, most of them save each month. Now, you talk to some broke college graduate with a communications degree or a graphics design degree or a hospitality degree, or what some broke journalism student writes in Money Magazine, or what some guest contributor living in his mama's basement wrote for Motley Fool. Because if you're broke, I don't really care about what your opinion is about money. So be like the guy on Jerry Maguire and show me the money. If rich people tell you the best way to get rich is to save your money and stay out of debt, then do what rich people do, because that's how they got there. Where the rubber meets the road is this, and that's a good way to put it, because the average car payment right now, I just checked, is $677 a month, and that's the average. And $677 a month invested in a decent mutual fund from age 30 to age 70 is going to net you $6.2 million. So your car payment isn't really costing you $677. It's costing you $6.2 million over a working lifetime. And that's why rich people don't have car payments. And that's one of the reasons that the top 5 careers for millionaires include engineer, accountant, teacher, management, and attorney. People in these professions, by and large, follow systems. They follow programs. And if you want to be rich, you need to hit the like button. I mean, if you want to be rich, you need to follow rich people's systems and get with the program. The most powerful tool that you have to build wealth is your income. And it's what you do with that income that makes the difference between rich and poor. In other words, you can't do middle class things with your money and be anything but middle class. Now, there's nothing wrong with being middle class, but if you eat the same food that fat people eat, you're gonna be fat. And if you find out what skinny people or lean people eat and exercise like they do, chances are excellent that you're gonna be skinny. I've been married for 34 years. I'm just so crazy about my wife, I just can't wait to hold her hand every night. So what do people do who've been married for 30 or 40 years who just can't keep their hands off each other? I know back in the early days before we figured it out, it was like World War III. But we finally figured it out. How? By learning from happily married people. I remember this gal you'd see on TV back in the 90s, and she was one of the best known relationship advisors. Well, she'd been married and divorced like about 6 different times. Not the one you'd likely want to take advice from. So success leaves clues. So if you want to win at something, talk to people who are winning at that same thing you want to know about and do what they do. Don't just follow some broke, sad stooge's opinion or gut feeling. Like I say, don't take financial advice from broke people. And most people are broke people. And I've read and or listened to over 3,000 business books. And I never remember reading any of those books written by rich people that advise you to run out there and get a car payment. I'd rather walk or Uber than have a car payment. Now, I wasn't always like that. I had to learn it because I was just running around doing what the neighbors did because I thought that was the right thing to do. Oh, you know, a car payment is just a way of life. Yeah, if you're broke. So put what would be your monthly payment into a separate savings account, not your checking account that you use to pay bills with, because it's too easy to just make excuses and spend it. Just scoot the amount of a car payment plus a little extra if you can into a savings account until you can march in there and demand a good deal for cash on the barrelhead. And if they don't give you a screaming bargain for cash, go to a dealership that will, because you're now in a position of power. You're not down there in some broke car salesman's little office hoping to get approved for the car company slaughter, approved for the Toyota financial slaughter, approved for the Ford Motor Credit slaughter, or in my case, in my early days, the Mercedes-Benz Financial Services execution ball. Now, you can be normal if you want to. Normal is broke. So if you want to be broke, go ahead. If you want to stay middle class, hey, it's your life. If you want to make middle class excuses about how you'd rather finance because you got a low interest rate, hey, it's your paycheck to paycheck life if that's how you want to live. The car payment is the bane of the middle class lifestyle. The credit card is the modern day cigarette of the middle class. But I remember in the mid 80s when people were talking more and more about how smoking kills you, how it stinks, how we weren't going to tolerate smokers choking out non-smokers with secondhand smoke in restaurants and airplanes anymore, it became very uncool. And I want to make debt very uncool because it's you I care about, not banks that want to keep you locked down with payments so they can build more skyscrapers and line their executives' pockets. Think your friends and family members and Facebook buddies need to hear this too? Share the heck out of it, like, subscribe. Thanks for joining me today. This is The Business Guy.